the giant animals and all the giant men, which says things aren't getting bigger, they're not getting more complicated, and several other books. But you can get those at www.mountblanco.com, and I'd sure like to send you a copy.
Well, you know what? I would like a copy here, too, if I can promote it. Now, before I let you go, James has a question he wants to ask you. James, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, Joe, do you think with all these sightings of gargoyles, Mothman, Thunderbirds, flying humanoids, all these different sightings, but they're all kind of similar, do you think that people are seeing the same thing, but just describing them differently, or what's your take on that?
Well, you just named all the key ones: the flying humanoids, the gargoyles. I think that's what they're seeing. They're seeing maybe a half a dozen different things, and the descriptions are all similar. But like you see, a fat man and a skinny man. If you have never seen a man before, you might not think they're the same species. So it may be that age might be a difference. But no, I think they're all seeing basically half a dozen strange creatures that we're just not familiar with. And I think the reports are basically accurate in as much as they can be with someone who didn't just sit there and take a picture of it and draw it. But yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. And how about any of those, any more dinosaur sightings in West Texas there where you're living?
I have been off the web because of reopening the museum, training a new secretary, and working with this young paleontologist, plus getting ready to come out to the big fossil show. We've been gone all week. So I'm kind of news deprived. But
okay.
When I get back, I plan to put the word out, hey, we're here in Texas. What's going on? Everybody let me know. So I think we're probably going to get some response. I've got a couple of people I have to follow up on. One of the cowboys that I talked about a little bit called me the other day. He said, man, we got a picture of this light down here. And I have absolutely been too busy to even go down there. But what are these orbs, these balls of light? They seem to have intelligence. The description's all very similar. And I just talked to someone the other day, a lady, a grandmother, who said when she was a girl, these lights would just come up out of the ground and float around and go places. How can a light be intelligent? I don't know. I'm looking into that. That's why I'm starting my new research, Project 651.
Yeah, those Martha lights, I don't know if there's some kind of bioluminescent cryptid that we don't know about, but boy, if you find out more about that, I'd love to hear about that.
I will, and I hope maybe this week we get back. Weather's also been a problem out here, but I'm going to follow up on this, and we'll let you know. Is there something to it? This guy is not making stuff up.
Interesting.
Yeah, right.
Now,
right,
yeah. Now, hey, Joe, did you ever get your roof fixed on your building?
We got the roof fixed. There's a couple of leaks keep showing up. We are open again. I'm hoping this week to announce a grand reopening, and but it's been such miserable weather that I don't want to do something and nobody can come. But we will be officially open. Got a secretary to greet people, and we got a lot of cool stuff. We're going to put a cast of the Taylor Trail, the most famous dinosaur trackway in the world, because it appears to have a human walking along in it. I made a mold of that. I have a cast of it in the museum, and sometime this week we're going to get that mounted. It's 55 feet long. It's too wide for my building, so part of it's going to be along the wall next to it. But if you've ever heard about it, by golly, come take a look at it. We've got the big mastodon there from Plymouth, the skull and the tusk. It's massive. These things, and you put flesh on these things, you can't imagine how big they were, how powerful they were. We've got other cool stuff. So we're open again, and we'll be getting school kids in there. We may even have a nacho fest, and everybody come, all you truckers out there, pull over. We got space. Free coffee. Come and have some nachos sometime.
Sounds great. Again, why don't you give the address to your building?
It's on Highway 82, 114, from Clovis or for Lubbock all the way down to Dallas. That's the route. And it's at 124 West Main Street, Crosbyton, like Bing Crosby, Crosbyton, Texas, 79322. And the website can tell you more is www.mountblanco.com. Should be pronounced Mont Blanco, but we don't say that. But it's mountblanco.com, and you can find out more. And hopefully the website's going to be changing here pretty soon with more information.
Great.
But we'd love to have you come. So we're open again.
Okay, Joe, again, I'll get you back on here in about 2 months again, and you can tell us some more new stuff. I tell you what, every time you're on, I tell you what, the truckers really like and enjoy listening to you. So, Joe, I want you to have a great weekend that's coming up, and tell your friend that's with you, both you guys, drive safe, will you?
All right. You guys take care and get California warmed up.
Okay. You take care, my friend.
All right.
See you, Joe.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, that was a very good show tonight. I learned a lot. I always learn a lot when Joe was on.
Yeah, I love when he's on. Always entertaining and educational all in one.
Yeah, you know what? I was flooded with phone calls again. And,
really?
You know, I couldn't take them because we weren't set up to take calls and stuff because we were doing the interview. But I probably had about 24 calls, and a lot of them was with a real weird number, which tells me that it was out of Europe. So, I mean, we've been, because of the time difference, and I think there was maybe one that looked like maybe from Australia, too. So, I mean, it's picking up. But again, I don't take calls unless we announce we're taking calls. And maybe here, starting next week, we'll devote maybe a half an hour, like on Friday nights, the last half an hour to take some calls. What do you think?
Yeah, either that, or I could call on one of the numbers and get the guest on the party line on my thing like we did before.
No. But very easily, when our guest is off at the bottom of the hour, I'll just disconnect you off of the line you're on now. You call back on the other line, because this is the line you're on as my, you call in line.
Oh.
So then that opens up the line and people can call in on that. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. I know what you're saying now. Yeah. Because maybe people start calling in now.
Well, they have been, but again, I don't tell you most of the time because, I can't answer it because if I answer it, it disconnects you, and then who knows if I got the guest on at that, or it can cause problems. I'm gonna have to go another Skype line. I'm gonna have to do that. This is another computer. That's all.
How many you got in there now? A dozen?
Actually running right now 8 to do the show.
I know, it's amazing how much stuff you got. I can't believe that you were definitely a multitasker.
Yeah, and when I'm tired, I only had 2 hours sleep since yesterday, and I tell you, it's easier to make mistakes. Haven't you even heard me slurring this past week because some other issues and family issues? I haven't had much sleep, and I'll be talking, and then I'm kind of all of a sudden I'm starting to because I'm tired, and I hate to say it about this time of night. I like there's an hour or two I could fall asleep behind the microphone, but then I wake wide up and I can't sleep during the night because I'm used to being up all night.
Yeah, it catches up with you. Got a lot of peaks and valleys. I believe me, I'm the same way sometimes, and that's why the weekends sometimes I use it to catch up on sleep.
Yeah, hey, I thought about something about you the other day. The guy who's collected 150 empty boxes of pizza.
Yeah.
How many boxes in the last 5 years of sugar frosted flakes would you have if you saved every box?
I don't know. That's a good question. I have cut down to about 1 to 2 boxes a month, so that's a progress in some form.
Well, how many were you before that?
Oh, probably 3 or 4 anyway.
Okay, yeah, okay, or 4 or 5. Anyway, I don't want you digging up, your property, to see if you can find any dinosaur bones. You might find other type of bones where you live, but you might not find dinosaur.
No, I'm not going to dig up my backyard. It's been dug before, so like he said, it's loose dirt. And so, yeah. No, I do all my digging way out in the middle of nowhere where you can find something.
20 years ago, 21 years now, matter of fact, when we bought our compound, my dog comes tripping to the porch with a bone that looks like a thigh bone. And I'm looking at that. So I figured, this might be, so I called up the police and they came and they did the search on the property really good. And they didn't find any other bones. Now, who knows, some other animal. This was all woods in this whole area when I first came here. There wasn't many people living like there is now. Everybody logged off their property and built houses except for me. But I heard back, a couple of weeks later, and they said, that bone was several hundred years old, but it was human.
Oh, wow.
So it was probably an, American native, bone.
Yeah, and that tells me you could probably have some spirits floating around there. We've talked about that before. You got a brand new house on property. It's the property that usually has spirits or being haunted.
Well, don't say that. Because now I'm going to be worried about my compound being, haunted.
It would already be haunted, Gary. You're safe.
Okay. Well, I hope so. Again, Mothman and all these other creatures, do they really exist? Or is it, just, a tale that keeps getting spread and spread and spread? And is it being spread by people that, maybe want to make a minute of fame? Or they just like, telling fable stories? A lot of people, humans are really bad. They make up stories and they love telling them to people. So, I'm just wondering, maybe Mothman doesn't exist. I know Bigfoot does because I didn't make that up. But, like Dogman, Mothman. But then on the other hand, there is credible people saying that they are seeing these creatures. So I don't know.
I don't either. I know there's so much stuff coming. I see so much stuff, Gary, every day. And I always look, patterns stick out to me. I always look for patterns. And that's why I asked him that one question. I think there's a few different things, but I do think some people, they describe it different. It could be seeing the same thing. But there's a lot of sightings in Illinois and Chicago, Rosemont area of these flying humanoids. And it's been going on for a year or more now.
Well, how about Eugene, Oregon? Of all places, that's between Washington and California, being, a Mothman. Again, the guy described it so realistically and it seems to fit the pattern, the levitation. The wings come out. They really don't flap the wings much. They just kind of like fly. I don't know.
Yeah, that's where I come with that theory that a lot like the aliens, I think they can project something in our brain to make us see things because physically those wings, they really couldn't make something fly. It's against the physics of it. So maybe they can just float or do whatever with their mind and they project that vision to us because, we're conditioned to see something like that.
Well, you know what? Maybe it isn't a Mothman. Maybe it was an alien because there's been a lot of reports of UFO sightings in Oregon and California and Washington. So maybe it was an alien that was all of a sudden spotted by this trucker. And you know what? Maybe they can read that person's mind, get a download on it. Oh, well, you know what? I'll put a cryptic in your mind. So you don't see me as an alien. You see me as whatever is in your brain, whatever you want to see me. Maybe that they are so scary that your brain can't digest what they really look like. So that's when you start seeing a Mothman, a shape-shifting thing. I have no idea. Well, you know what? The night went by real fast. I want to thank Joe Taylor for being a guest on. He's always welcome on the show. I make sure if you're in Mount Blanco, Texas, to check out his fossil museum. And then to Tom with Metatron Power and Light. I want to thank you for that new bumper music for intro of the show. I really like it. Whoever in that band, you have it, can play that harmonica. It's just like rocks. Almost as good as